Hello and welcome to FantasyInsiders.com. This is Mr. Tuttle05 bringing you another video for Week 10 in the NFL. This video here is dedicated to Draft Street, and it is the All Scrubs edition. Basically, what I'll be trying to do in this video is provide you with a couple of plays at each position that's going to be able to bring you some salary relief for your overall team. These are some guys that I think provide excellent value for their price, and they really open up the doors for you to be able to provide or play some of the higher priced guys this week. So let's first start here at quarterback. The two guys I have listed are Ben Roethlisberger and Nick Foles. You do see their prices there, and they're not rock bottom prices by any means, but I believe Roethlisberger is listed as the 16th priced quarterback, so there are 15 quarterbacks priced higher than him, and Foles is listed as the 17th priced quarterback. So you do have to scroll down a ways to find these guys, but I do believe both have good matchups and provide excellent value for you this week. Roethlisberger is coming off a good performance against the Patriots. Obviously, he had to throw a lot because they were behind most of the game, but he's coming off a 400-yard, 4-touchdown performance. I don't expect those numbers necessarily against the Bills, but the Bills have allowed a league most 20 passing TDs to this point in this season. They have not had their bye week yet, so that's not quite as bad as you would initially think. But they still are allowing over 2.22 passing touchdowns per game. So I don't think a baseline of around 2 touchdowns for Roethlisberger is out of the question in this game. He's in a team and in an offense that is pass heavy. He's been averaging so far this year 38.5 pass attempts per game. So you know he's going to get the opportunity to throw the ball, and it's coming against an average at best pass defense. So I think Roethlisberger provides you good value, being priced as the 16th highest quarterback this week. The next one then would be Nick Foles. This is kind of a cop-out as he's coming off his 7-touchdown performance. But he still does have a good matchup this week against the Packers, who aren't anything special against the pass. I don't think, obviously, Foles is going to get anywhere near that 7-touchdown performance that he got in Week 9. I think you're going to see closer to around 2 touchdowns here this week. Maybe not rack up as many yards. But I actually think I wouldn't be surprised to see the Eagles playing ahead in this game. Seneca Wallace is horrible. So if the Eagles are playing ahead in this game, you're going to see a little heavier dose of LaShawn McCoy than you have been recently. And that will take off some of the burden from Foles, but that will also reduce his stat line, obviously. The next two guys, I'm not going to mention a whole lot on my running back position. If you want more detail or more reasoning behind these two plays, you can check out my FanDuel video for Week 10 in the NFL. But these guys are both Pierre Thomas and Rashad Jennings. Both are somewhat injury dependent. Jennings, it looks almost certain that he will be playing in Week 10 with McFadden out. And then Pierre Thomas, you're going to have to keep a closer eye on Darren Sproles. While I'm recording this video, there hasn't been any update on Sproles, but I do expect one soon, so make sure to check Twitter for any update on Sproles to see if he'll be playing in Week 10. Pierre Thomas, I think, does still provide some value at this price tag if he's able to go in Week 10, if Sproles is able to go in Week 10. But obviously, if Sproles is unable to go, then I certainly think he is a steal for this price tag. Next, we're going to head on over to the wide receivers. A couple off-the-radar guys here. First, we're going to go with Nate Washington at 6,234. He was shut out last week in Week 9, and he has not had a great fantasy performance since Week 4 versus the New York Jets. I believe he had close to 105 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. That was his second 100-yard receiving game this season. So the big thing here is we do know Washington does have the ability. He has big playability as well to get loose on a route and take a long TD to the house. Once again, he hasn't recently put up the numbers, but he does have the ability there. Another thing that should be noted is that while he was shut out in Week 9, he was on the field the most for Titans wide receiving core. He barely outsnapped Kendall Wright, but he did outsnap Kendall Wright, and he ran the exact same number of pass routes as Kendall Wright. So I believe Wright, let me see if I can find Kendall Wright here. Wright is 1,400 more than Nate Washington. I think both are good plays against a subpar Jaguars defense. So I think both are good plays. I probably would lean Nate Washington for that difference in price, especially if it allows you to upgrade significantly. But I think both are good plays this week. This next guy it will provide you with extreme salary relief if you put him in your lineup. And I think he actually is a pretty good play. He's going to be completely under the radar this week, or he should be. That's Griff Whalen. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not even quite sure. But he's your min price gold. Anytime you can get a guy in who's close to minimum price on Draft Street, it does wonders to free up the rest of your roster. And I do think Whalen may be that guy this week on Draft Street. Going into Week 9, everybody was talking about Levon Brazile, and how much his stock rises with the absence of Reggie Wayne, and even more so how it would rise with the absence of DHB if he was injured. But that's not the case we saw. Whalen actually significantly outsnapped Levon Brazile in Week 9. I expect some of the same to happen, or much of the same to happen in Week 10. In Week 9, Whalen wasn't exactly able to convert on all his targets. Actually had a horrible conversion rate, but he was targeted 9 times, which is the important thing here. He was targeted 9 times, had 3 receptions for 32 yards in Week 9. Basically, moral of the story is you're not going to get a wide receiver, actually any player at all, at this price or close to this price with as much upside as Whalen. Whalen's going to provide you with, he's going to be on the field, he's going to get some targets, and that's hard to find at 2,000. Obviously, he does run a little bit of a risk, as does everybody that I'm mentioning here. But for 2,000, I think he opens up a lot and is could be a cornerstone of your Draft Street rosters out there this week. Now heading on over to tight end, we do have Garrett Graham for 4,775. He has a great matchup this week against the Cardinals, who are allowing the most fantasy points to tight end in the league so far this year. So he's got a wonderful matchup. But the thing I like here is that Andre Johnson isn't fooling anybody this week. For whatever reason, in Week 9, the Colts could not effectively shut down Andre Johnson in the first half, and even from the first part of the second half. But once you saw Andre Johnson go away, then you saw Garrett Graham's production go up. So I think what you'll see this game, you'll see the Cardinals have a concentrated effort to get Andre Johnson out of the game early, which should bring Garrett Graham some decent value. The line I'm seeing for Graham this week is 5 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown. I think that's a fairly conservative estimate, but I think he is right in that range. And if he does hit that range or hit those statistics, then he's obviously providing a great value for $4,775. The last guy then would be Jared Cook for $4,318. This is a guy that I would not have recommended at all, probably from week 4 to week, probably even week 4 to week 9. During that stretch, and maybe not quite that long, but during that stretch, he was losing a significant amount of snaps to Lance Kendricks. In those games or during that stretch, he was either tied or pretty close to being tied with Lance Kendricks. Otherwise, Kendricks was actually out snapping him in a few of those games. So he was a guy that wasn't getting on the field a ton. That did change in Week 9, and I think that is the indication that we'll see going forward, or the direction we'll see the offense going forward, where we do see Cook regain the snaps that he was seeing at the beginning of the season. Cook did outsnap Kendricks by about 12 snaps in Week 9, which wasn't huge, but he ran 21 more pass routes than Kendricks, which is huge. Also, while Cook was in the game, he only did stay back to pass block on 2 of those snaps. So when they're running passing plays, when the Rams are running passing plays, Cook is going out and running routes, which is exactly what you want to see from a guy priced at Cook's range. So once again, you're not. All these guys are risky. They're all scrubs. Cooks is a scrub as well, but he's a guy that has fairly decent upside, and he's trending towards getting more action. So he's a guy that I think should warrant some further consideration in your rosters this week. That will do it, though, for the All Scrubs edition on Draft Street. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Tuttle05. Otherwise, feel free to run on over to the FantasyInsiders.com forums. If you have any questions, our forum pages are actually a lot like Twitter, where you can tag me in a post, and then I'll receive a notification that you have tagged me. As soon as I get that notification, I'll run on over and answer any questions you may have.